Happy Friday, YouTube. So this past Monday, right, I met with my sales team and I pretty much went around to everybody that's on the team and asked everyone what their numbers were the week before and how many presentations they were going to do this week. We didn't focus on apps, annualized premium. That's irrelevant to me. We focus on presentation count because the more people you present to and show them a solution with final expense, just by the sheer numbers, you're going to make sales, right? So we focus on presentation counts. I went around the room again. Certain agents committed to 10 presentations for the whole week over the phone. Others, I volunteered 25 for the week, 5 a day, and so on and so forth. We meet up every day with each one of these groups throughout the day. I didn't say anything. We focus on closing. We focus on basic, day-to-day training that we do with everybody. Well, today we had our Friday sales meeting, which we do in the mornings. And I went around the room again and I asked everybody where they're at, how many sales, etc. And I would say that a good 50% of the agents did not hit their goal. Now, please understand that on Monday, they were gung-ho, they were pumped up, they were determined, they were volunteering the numbers. But here we were Friday, and 50% of these agents didn't hit their goals. Most of them were not satisfied with their results. Some of them, were questioning even if this business even made sense. But then we took a closer look at the fact that they didn't meet their goal and why. And it came down to activity. Regardless if you're doing this part-time or full-time, but if you're not committed to that activity, you're just going to have issues. As Ed Milet says, the best way to build confidence is by keeping the promises that you make to yourself. It sucks, really, because a lot of these agents are really, really good agents. They have tons of talent, but they get distracted by honeydews. If you're working from home, it's really easy to get distracted. Your family thinks that you don't work because you're at home, and you do. So you got the other side, the other 50% that did exactly what they said they did, what they said they would do, And how do you think their confidence level is today, Friday? High. They are going into the weekend super pumped, happy, and their confidence level is high. Why? Because they kept the promises that they made to themselves. So win or lose, they go into the weekend satisfied with themselves. For the other 50%, they don't go into the weekend happy. They're upset. But they got to be upset with themselves, not the system, because the system's not in question. So I went ahead and jot down a couple points. A couple things that we train our agents on, but agents fail just to do it, put the work in. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to activity, follow-up, and nurturing your leads. It does. You can set a goal, but if you don't have a direct plan of how you're going to reach that goal, you're not going to get there. You're just talking about it. Now, I'm not saying my agents, my partners, that they're all talk. I'm just saying that circumstances do happen, but at some point in time, we got to take control. So I'm going to share some points with you guys here on this Friday that can help you next week to, one, stay true to what you said you're going to do. In our business, it's presentation count, whether you're door knocking, but for me, it's over the telephone. One is set a goal. Not just because you're talking, really set something up. For me, I try to do 5 a day. That's my goal. If I can do 5 full presentations and close 20% minimum, that's 1 application a day. 1 application a day, 5 days a week, times 4 weeks, you'll be okay. But you got to make a goal of presentation count. And how are you going to get that presentation count is the next question. You have old leads that you can check and see with the DNC to make sure that they're valid to call. Yesterday, I was on a training with the Spanish group, and I told them everyone in Spanish starts doing outbound training and calling on aged leads. Why? Because they need that training. Leads. Again, whether you're doing outbound, live transfer, policy service, the goal is to make presentations. Talk time. 5 hours of talk time a day is a good average to be at. Now, what is talk time? That's the amount of minutes that you're talking to somebody about your product, in this case, final expense. If your talk time is under 5 hours a day, you're going to have issues. You're not going to make your goal. For example, right now, the talk time of me on this video has been 6 minutes and 48 seconds right now. That's talk time. If I was on the telephone, then that 6 minutes would apply towards that talk time. For anyone that has experience, they would agree that 5 hours of talk time is a healthy average every single day if you're doing this full time. Dialing speed. For me, I could take a list of old leads, new leads, whatever. But if I have to outbound, my speed is 25 dials per hour. So for every 25 times that I dial, and yes, some numbers I can dial 3 times, for me it's 25 times, I get in front of somebody over the telephone that I can make a full presentation. And if I can get through a full presentation, then I have an opportunity to close. If I'm just at 20%, then you get the math. A lot of you guys don't even know how many dials it takes for you to get a presentation because you're not even thinking in that manner. You're thinking more of a cherry picker. Policy reviews. A lot of you make a sale and you forget about it. But what about making the sale, following up with your customer when the policy's mailed out to the client, reviewing that policy with your customer, and in the process of doing that, not only will you be able to maybe increase the amount that you originally sold them, and every time you increase a policy amount, that counts as an app, but you also start building your relationship marketing with friends and family because everybody needs insurance. But here's the biggest one that I see with agents that hurt their goals in terms of activity, and that is following up on your old leads. For example, if you purchased 10 fresh leads a day from Facebook, 10 today, 10 tomorrow, so on and so forth. Not all those leads you're going to sell. You're not going to. For every 5 transfers I send my agents, 1 of them is going to convert to a sale. That's 20%. But there's a major percent of numbers that are not going to convert on the first contact. I get that. But just because Miss Jones doesn't buy today doesn't mean she ain't going to buy. And if you nurture each one of those leads, eventually you'll see that they'll convert. So when you get a fresh lead, from the moment in time you get that lead, you have 90 days. So if in those 90 days, that person is in the do not call registry, it doesn't matter. It's after 90 days from the birth date of that lead that you need to be careful with. But follow up. If you didn't close them today, call them tomorrow. If they don't pick up the phone, send them a text message. It's proven that 90% of folk look at their text messaging, read them, and they'll respond back to you. But you gotta have consistency. You gotta nurture it. I get agents all the time ask me, how many times should I call my leads? Well, let me tell you what, in those first 90 days that you paid for because you purchased the lead, you're gonna call until they tell you to lose it, or you make a presentation, convert it, or you make a presentation and they tell you they're not interested or you can't qualify and you move on. I'm telling you, a lot of you guys out there, you're buying leads every month and then eventually you're out the business because you can't afford to keep going. Think about this. How many leads did you buy last week? Are you eager to buy leads Monday morning? If you're not eager, that's because you're not turning a profit, and the concept of buying leads is becoming a nightmare compared to being excited. For me, when I started selling insurance in 2004, I couldn't wait to go to the post office to get my mail, to get my leads from my agency. I just couldn't wait because I knew that those people were waiting for me to call them. I would show up at their house, knock on their door, sell them insurance. Simple math. I never chased family and friends to sell them insurance. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I never did that. I love leads because I know they want to talk to me about final expense. It's up to me to make a great presentation, know how to close, and more importantly, retain the business. So as you're going into the weekend, if you had a lousy week, the solution's right in front of you. Again, as Ed Milet said, the key to building your self-confidence is keeping the promises that you made to yourself. If, last week you made this huge goal for yourself, if you said, I'm going to do 30 presentations, this coming up week, maybe once you kick it down to 15 and commit to that and go and do it. And once you get that 15, then the next week, maybe you can bump it up to that 30 that you originally set yourself up for. Again, goals are meant to be attained. So with that said, if you guys would like to join me on my training meetings every morning, I run a training class. I do 3 meetings a day at different levels. I'll be more than happy to show you. Virtual final expense has been a game changer for me and my family. And what makes me happy is that I've been able to sell final expense from Northern California, rural Northern California, my baseball hat, my cheap sunglasses, my t-shirt. And I have given that up, the suit and tie for the baseball hat, and I'm happy. This past year, in 2 vehicles, I put 10,000, 12,000 miles in 2 of my vehicles, in 2 locations. And before that, when I used to be a field agent, I would put 60 to 100,000 a year as a door knocker. And I'm happy to say for over 10 years now, exactly this year, I started giving up that. And for well over 7 years, we've been exclusively over the telephone. So for all of you guys watching this, thank you. You guys have a great weekend. And as always, see you guys at the top. Peace.